Come here. Okay. That's really not what we want, is it? That's really not what we want. Is it just a bit like that today, is it? Is it just a bit like that today? Mm-hmm.
Shall I come back if you two are having a bit of a personal moment?
Good morning.
Oh, wet and grey, yummy. Oh.
I'm dry and grey.
Getting there. I quite like the highlights. I just could do with it not being quite so strawy. It's a bit dry.
Yeah, unfortunately, it seems to be what happens when we get older. Because mine, if I put conditioner on it, I can't do anything with it. So if I don't put conditioner on it, it's like straw. So, but I had it cut the other day, so that was good.
That's a step forward. I cut mine the other day, so I put some of the layers back in.
Oh, well done.
Well, I'm scared of hairdressers, so I have no choice really.
I'm not thrilled, but I quite like the one in the village. She's a new girl, so it's quite nice.
It's all right, I guess. I found one I really liked in Birmingham, and then I left Birmingham, so. Although I do have a friend who travels to London regularly because she's got a favourite hairdresser there, and she prefers to go all that way too.
God, that's madness. But
because if you've
no.
got money.
Yeah. No, I think no, I couldn't be bothered with that. It's a necessity, an evil necessity as far as I'm concerned.
I did travel a few times for a couple of years to a particular dentist back to Birmingham, but then he told me I wasn't allowed anymore, so I'm like,
oh yeah, I can understand it about a dentist completely. Yeah. And
it seems like now the dentist that I use, it's a different one every time you go back. They've got a new student in, and you're like,
oh, somebody's pinged. Is that?
oh, is someone having trouble?
In a bit of a rush this morning, meant to do yesterday, but longer than expected. That's Jill.
All right.
Don't know quite what. Oh, she sent a video.
Oh, bless her. I'll have a look.
I was going to video Tilly doing her teeth. Morning.
Morning.
And the little madam yesterday, I think she'd got overtired the day before. Couldn't do anything with her yesterday. And she's a bit the same this morning. So she's been so good. Morning, Maria. But she's really mouthy this morning. I don't want you to comb me. I don't want you to touch my teeth. She's just laid in front of me asleep.
I don't know whether, I don't know if you see Facebook or whatever, but I'm at conference online because you're not allowed to go anywhere in real life. But I'm at conference again this weekend, and my hero, Sarah Fisher, who I'm just considering booking a 500 quid course with. She was talking about some of this stuff, so yeah, I'm going to plagiarize her a bit today, I think.
Good.
But yeah, she was talking, her and another speaker were talking about the effects of adolescence, and and how significant it can be. And that kind of what I'm loving about what you've just said is that you appreciate that it's probably something else that's gone on in the day that's caused her to feel that way, rather than blaming her for, you know, not letting you do anything or getting grumpy with her. You've kind of gone, oh, well, she's obviously having a bit of a bad day and we'll come back to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is brilliant, you know.
Well, I had to comb her paws this morning because they're so woolly, and she was not happy. And we had words, and then we apologized to each other. But we love each other again. But she's fast asleep by my legs. Absolutely zonked. But I've been doing the triangle and circle, and she loves that. She really gets it.
Some dogs are really into brain games. I think Twiggy really likes to try and figure out what I've got in my head. Some dogs, it really does make sense to them.
Yeah.
Right. Sammy says she can't come because her hips and back are sore.
Ooh.
So I think that was for me for today, but it's on my other messenger thing at the moment.
Here's Jill.
Tidying my screen up as we speak. I can't have an untidy, although my desk looks pretty untidy at the moment, actually.
Just looking at what Jill's been doing.
You gone in? Not much. It was a quick job this morning. I have done it though, but I meant a video yesterday and I didn't have time.
I just saw him. He was wandering around the garden and I was in the chicken and that's seeing
We're training a cat today, apparently.
Yes, just got the cat.
Can we examine cat's mouth and teeth?
No, not always. Depends what sort of mood he's in. Don't we? No, no mood today. See? I'm not doing it again.
You're off, human. You're off, human.
This has got to go down. I'm all right.
Jumping all over it out, isn't she?
I'm all right.
All right, so we're going to, I know that we've done it before, but we're going to have another look at Chirag Patel's bucket game today. Is everybody aware of that? Put your thumbs up if it rings bells. If it doesn't ring bells.
I missed that. Say again.
Chirag Patel's bucket game.
Bucket game. Yeah, well, I can't remember it. I think I've heard of it. I think we've done it, haven't we? But I can't remember it.
Juju says no, so I won't be, hopefully.
Well, we might have done it, but...
All right.
You need a demonstration, don't you?
Okay.
I've slept since then.
So you can either, oh, here's Andrea. We can either, if you've got a clicker, you can use a clicker. You need a container that you can put some treats in that your hand fits easily in, but you're able to cover easily as well.
Right.
This is an official Chirag Patel bucket that I use for my training container. Yeah, so big enough for my hand to go in easily, small enough for my hand to cover if I need to. Doesn't matter what it is, but it needs to be fairly easy for you. So Andrea, hi darling. We're continuing with handling, but we're gonna have a go with handling using Chirag Patel's bucket game. Then, which I know we should have already done, and some of us say that we don't remember, so that's good. Okay. Everybody stop shuffling.
Right. Container, clicker, treats.
Brilliant. So I've got my ridiculous, this was a gift from Kay Atwood when I did one of her courses, and I think it's probably my favourite shape of clicker, but it does exactly the same as every other clicker in the world, it just makes a noise. And I made a fancy band so that if I ever did drop it, there was a bit of a chance of losing it. And even went to the point at one point, quite a long time ago, teaching maybe to go find it and retrieve it so that I would know where it was all the time. I don't think she'll remember that now. She's losing things in her little head at the moment. So before we go there then, anybody got anything they want to talk to me about other than Ralph and how horrible he is?
Chip bag.
Send him to me.
Yeah.
I was, one of the things we're considering as a business plan was selling people, they would pay for 4 hours of their puppy being trained by me on my own, which I'd come to you in a bit, and then they would have an hour a week of me then going over with the owner what we'd trained and have them learn how to do it themselves. And that would be a 6-week package. Dawn's a little bit not keen because obviously it means I'm committed to one person for 6 weeks, which takes up quite a few of the time slots that she'd quite like to be putting other people into. So it's the cost of it that would be the issue, to, you know, make it worth our while. And she doesn't think she'd be able to sell it. But I think people like you and Ralphie, people that I'd be like, yeah, let me do it for you, and then I'll hand him back and you can have this dog who already has half an idea of what you're supposed to be doing.
He's fine apart from food. He's absolutely manic with food. He's starving all the time. He's from very big parents, and I'm going by the feeding guidelines on the packet, but he's just starving, absolutely starving. And then the other day, he only had a 10-minute walk that day, which was not enough. So he was up 4 times in the night. Is it breakfast? Is it breakfast? Last night, he got up once for a wee. And Harry said he let him out. He comes straight back in, runs straight upstairs, goes to bed. When he thinks it's breakfast, by the time you've got to the bedroom door, he's bouncing. And he won't go out for a wee. You've got to feed him. Then he'll go out to the loo. Then he'll go straight back to bed. But he's hungry. He's just hungry, and I don't know what to do about it.
So, and normal motions, I assume.
Yeah, well, yeah, I was trying to think of what I could, you know, his licky bowl, because I go out maybe twice a day and he has to have the licky bowl twice a day. What can I put in it? I didn't want to do peanut butter all the time. So I thought, oh, baby food. Well, it's gone straight through him. Now I've put him on probiotics and he's brilliant. He's solid. So I could maybe feed him a little bit more, but I don't want him to grow too fast, which he already is. He's like a, I don't know.
So what I'm thinking of quite often, if they've got gastric sensitivities, they can have gut pain, which I'm going to get a bit personal, so close your ears.
Right.
When my IBS is playing up, I find that I get very hungry.
Right.
And that's because the pains can be very similar to hunger pains, and your body's kind of telling you that you need to put something else in when actually that's not what you actually need. So if you're honestly seeing him being quite freaky and probably overeating, then what I would want to do is investigate whether or not there's a cause behind that. So I would start with talking to the vet about basic routine tests to make sure he hasn't got any bacteria or parasites causing it, and then possibly think about having blood tests to test for dietary sensitivities as well. Because pain can make them more grabby, bitey, hungry.
He's not particularly bitey. His sister, she's having a real problem with biting. He's not he's starting to bite now, but not seriously. I'm not worried. Sid a bit more, a lot more. she was crazy biting. He's not particularly now, he's settled down. It's just, you go past the food bowl, it's like, I'm eating, and he goes crazy until he's eaten, then he's fine. He's absolutely fine, but you get a biscuit out and he nearly takes your hand off. He's just absolutely, and he gets colitis a bit if he's eating the wrong stuff. So we're really trying to stick to his food as treats, and he's happy with that because he's that manic with it. But he's touch wood, since these probiotics, he's gone solid.
And that kind of makes me think that you might have an IBS type situation.
Yeah. But Sid did, and she grew out of it. You know, once she left sort of puppyhood, it did settle, and she's been absolutely fine for the last year. She's not happy.
Yeah.
He's took the boy out, and she's laid down here not happy.
Oh, they are well attached. All right, anyone else then, issues or things that you've come up with? I know that Judith said that Tilly really wasn't into the handling yesterday. That can be adolescence, that can be brain changes. Sarah yesterday was talking about increased, I know it hadn't really occurred to me, so I'm glad she'd said it, but increased body sensitivity as part of those changes that they go through with adolescence. So a dog that has been previously keen to be touched and keen to be handled, suddenly becoming quite kind of get off me style. And she was saying that using food to have the dog accept handling can actually backfire on you, because you're kind of forcing them to accept that thing happening that might be quite sore for them if they're going through a growth period, or you know, their body sensitivity is higher than usual. So you're causing this kind of conflict that I want the food but I don't want the touch. Yeah, so that's why I thought we'd go back to the bucket game, because that takes away that conflict. That is the dog choosing the handling. So before we go there though, any other questions, any other thoughts? Okay, so a reminder that adolescents can start as early as 14 weeks. So for Ralphie, bear that in mind. And it can carry on until they're, you know, usually 2 years, but it can be longer. I'm pretty sure that Dodo is still showing some signs sometimes of sudden fears that for no reason. I know things that he shouldn't be afraid of. And he's just turned 3. So be aware that, yeah.
Can I just ask you, Ralph goes up the stairs, absolutely fine. He gallops upstairs, but we don't let him come downstairs. We have to carry him. But he's getting rather large and rather heavy. I can't do it anymore. Harry does it, but Ralph, not Harry, has started to get a little bit fearful of when you go to pick him up. He stands at the top of the stairs barking because he wants to come down, but when you go to pick him up, he's like, not sure about this. When can we let him come down the stairs?
Yeah, I would be teaching him to come down now.
Right, okay.
So, you know, and to be honest, for him, it's going to be food. It's going to be the easiest way.
Definitely.
So if you sit one step down, and I'd start at the bottom of the step, you know, pop him on 2 or 3 steps up, let him climb 2 or 3 steps up, rewarding for standing on that step, and then put a reward onto the next step down. But you're there, obviously, if he does decide to throw his body the wrong way, you're there to kind of stop him from falling.
No, that's a really good suggestion.
1 step at a time, and obviously then going higher and several steps, and then you can start rewarding every 2 steps. But what you're looking for is how their back end is working. If the back end keeps overtaking, then don't be asking them to do more.
Right.
It's learning to hold your body in that position, which another thing that Sarah was saying, quite often the back legs will grow faster than the front legs. So they end up with that kind of body shape anyway. And then we ask them to do stairs, which is putting them into an even steeper. And then they haven't got the strength in those front legs and those joints, or the coordination. So we're trying to build all of those things up. one step at a time, literally.
Right, that's good, really good. I sort of tried it, but from the top, never thinking that he was obviously the fear factors coming in as well. So brilliant suggestion. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and even, you know, training away from stairs, get yourself a box or a block or something that's about stair height and have them practice getting on and getting off that. And at least that lets them have their body straight. The problem with stairs is that not only are they doing that, but they feel like they ought to bring their body round for each step. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
All right, so we better leave Ralph alone because everybody else is sitting there. Anyone else with any questions before I go on?
Don't have a question, but I just want you guys just to deal with this just for a minute, like I have been doing. You gonna do it? Oh, okay, she's not doing it now. Doesn't matter.
What is she doing?
Frustration yowling.
That's all right.
So just constantly.
Waiting for the game to start.
Hmm.
Okay, so let's mute you if no one else has got a wiggle for me. All right, I've done it, I think. I should have done. Maybe not. Oh, you might have to mute yourselves. I can't mute you, Jill. It's playing up again. Oh, that's better. All right, so the aim of the bucket game is to give the animal complete control over what's going on. To begin, what we need is for them to be able to look at, but hold themselves back from the bucket. That's the first step. Yeah, so to begin with, it might be that every time they glance at it, we click, and then we go get a piece of food from the bucket to give to the dog. So the rewards all come from the bucket. So the first thing is click for just looking at it. Then we're going to slowly build keeping their attention on it. So we're building duration between those clicks. So that's your first goal. Get them to be interested in looking at it, and then build duration into looking at it. So while you're having a go, I will also go fetch myself a victim. Look, I've got a whole pile of victims outside here, desperate to get in. I want Dodo. Yeah. So, let's put it where they can see it. That's not what we're doing, is it? I'm going to assist him with a little bit of social learning, which means if I touch it or indicate towards it, he's more likely to look at it. And then I'm going to see whether or not he'll do it himself. And if not, more focused on my hand. That was a look at the bowl. I'm going to move it there so we can see the camera. It's going to help me. Try and catch that looking in that direction without my hand there, hopefully. So that was nice. He looked away from my hand to look at the bowl. Like watching paint dry to begin with. Oh, timing. That was the slow click. And I'm going to reward him so that he's standing near it when we're finished. It's going to make it easier for me to see whether or not he's continuing to look at it. Oh, I'll do for now. Let's see how you lot are getting on. Oh. Wait, I'm busy. Wait there. Wait there. So Maria's got a nice look. I'm starting to build duration if you can. Still, Andrea's still focusing on your hand, which is the same problem I'm having with Dodo. So just really watch like a hawk for that moment that they're focusing on the tub rather than looking at your hand. You can draw their attention back to it by moving it, by putting your hand in it, by doing something, and make sure that you can try and click that split second when your hand's not on it, but they're still looking at it. Nice, Judith, well done. Bit awkward with two dogs, Jill, because obviously one's going to try and dive in it. So try and make sure it's definitely the bowl that your dog's looking at. The aim is that the bowl should be freestanding, so it's not in our hand, because that's going to, in the future, when we start using it for handling, we're going to be able to free up our hands to be able to do the handling with. She's trying to think. Tilly's trying to think. She's trying to figure it out. And this is why we shouldn't get upset or angry when they're offering behaviors we don't like, because at some point in the future we might ask for a similar behavior because we want to train it, and that's going to really mess with their brains, isn't it? So we want them to offer behaviors, we just want to make sure that we're catching and rewarding the ones that we like. By Jove, I think they're getting it. Okay, let me carry on with Dodo. Let me see how far we can get him. So sometimes taking a little break is going to suddenly increase because they've had a chance to think about it. So we've got a couple of really nice ones. Again, I want to tell him, keep your nose near the bowl. And he's offering behaviours that he feels more comfortable with, that he's learned a lot. So I'm going to try and click before he goes away while he's still looking at the bowl. Again, that was me being a bit rubbish. So when you're thinking about where to place your bowl when you first start, what I'm looking for is a place where he can look at it comfortably and be in a standing position so that he can direct his whole body into a straight line in a kind of standing position. And I'm going to reinforce him in a standing position close to it. So the aim is eventually, when I finally manage to build some duration, into that behavior of looking at and standing back from the bowl. Oh, so slow. You had a split second longer then. Good boy. Good. When eventually I've built duration, all I need to do is carry on looking at that bowl, then I can start adding handling into that mix. Stand up. And he's lost it again. All right. So just like us, sometimes you need a bit of extra help. Sometimes you just need a bit of a break. Good lad. That'll do for now. So that you can process what you've learned. None of us do well if we're just constantly being asked to do the same thing over and over and over. The brain starts to wander. Yeah, so take a break. Even if you're at a good point, don't push it and push it and push it. Stop rather than continuing. But tell your dog that you're having a break, or change what you're doing. We call it change of state. Otherwise, they're going to be standing there wondering, what on earth are we doing now? So we're having an ear massage at the moment, but you can't see him. All right. Ooh, good man. Here he is, look. Ear massage. Oh, yeah. Ah! So, I'm going to get you to report on that. Tell me if that's frustrating or irritating, or tell me how you were feeling. We're going to ask Judith first. So if you... Oh, seems to have crashed. Crashing. No, sorry, Jude. You've crashed. Let's ask Maria instead.
Can you hear me? It does.
Oh, hang on, I can again now. But I can hear you just, but your picture's still.
Doesn't like you. Yeah. Oh.
Right, come on. All right, we give up. We'll ask Maria.
Yeah, she's pretty good at that. I think we've practiced a lot of, so we like playing this game. We like, we're finished now.
You've done it before, so you've got previous. Yeah. So what stage then are you at with regards to doing that? Can you?
Well, just that stage really. We never went any further with it. That's what we practice, and that's what we've ever done. So
okay, but she's pretty good. She's got good duration on it, I noticed. Yeah. And she's good at just standing and looking at it. So you can start.
We did have a bit of a distraction because the other cat came in and he went and sat on the table right opposite her, and she was watching him in case he decided to come down and get a meat.
Oh no!
So I had to take him away.
So once you've got good duration of the dog looking at the bowl, and they understand that's the job, is to just look at the bowl. Once you've got good duration, then you can start adding distractions. So, but maybe a whole pussycat is a bit much, really. So your first distraction would be just a tiny little hand movement near the bowl. And what we want is for them, instead of looking away from the bowl to the hand, is to maintain that look at the bowl while you do a tiny little jiggle.
Okay, right, yeah.
Yeah? So yeah. We want that you can get a reward by maintaining eye contact on that bowl. Yeah. Next job. After duration, then we start adding a little bit of distraction. Okay, right. So we'll mute you. How did you get on, Jill? Maria, if you mute yourself for me, because I seem to have lost the power. Hi, Jill.
Hiya, she was much
better once I'd actually put the bowl on something rather than having it in my hands. Our duration was starting to build up. But I sometimes find with Poppy, if the thing isn't happening that she expects to happen, she thinks, right, do I need to do something else? And she tends to go into a down position because she thinks, oh, she must want me to do a down or something like that.
Yeah.
But she was definitely improving. And we definitely have a permanent distraction in the shape of Archie, who likes to get in on every act. So considering he was there sniffing at the bowl and things, she did quite well. She was getting better, definitely.
And
I found she
sometimes-
sat down as well sometimes. She sat down. She wasn't keen on saying stood up all the time. So then I had to throw a treat away to get her to go and get it, to then come back and reposition her in the stand. But no.
Beautiful. And we don't worry too much about body position to begin with, because you, by giving your reinforcer in the standing position, you're going to be reinforcing that anyway. Yeah. So if she's in a sit, just lure her back into a stand near the bowl and reward near the bowl. So you saw Dodo was doing the same, and they will offer other behaviours if we leave too big a gap. So the other thing to do is to really get into that training bubble and that zone, and don't allow yourself to think about anything else, and watch like an absolute hawk for any glances in the direction of the bowl, so that your click rate increases. So the dog is getting more reassurance that that is the behaviour, that looking at the bowl is the behaviour that functions to get that reinforcer. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if they're tending to offer other behaviours, it might be that they've tried looking at the bowl and we've missed it because we're not quite clicked onto it.
Yeah, I think it's the duration. If she's staring at it and she thinks I've stared at this for long enough and I've not had a reward yet, then she thinks, right, I'm going to try something else.
And
I suppose. Sorry, go on.
Sorry, when you look back at my video, you'll see a couple of times where I was thinking, I'm going to increase duration, I'm going to increase duration. And just at the split second, when I was almost ready to click, he'd already looked away. So when we're doing duration training, we need to err on the side of caution. So if you think your dog can do 3 seconds, click at 2 seconds, you know, always lower, with the aim to slowly stretch it. Yeah. I mean, I saw some good stuff, so I think you're on track. And I agree, it does make it easier once they've realized I'm not going to grab at it. So we've done a lot of self-control type behaviors where just going after the thing isn't going to work. So that they should already be in a good condition, all of them now, to learn to just look at it but not actually go after it. So, and I saw that with her. So that's really good. If you mute yourself for me, because I
Yeah.
Okay, Sid and Andrea, tell me.
Quite basic with her because she's so used to looking at me before she's allowed to something, so she's not quite clicking yet that she needs to look at the bowl, so she's looking at me for permission rather than at the bowl yet.
And we've done a lot of training to tell them that's the job, haven't we? We've done a lot of holding the food away from our face and waiting for them to look at us. So it can, for some dogs, take that little few moments for them to realise, except when it's this thing, then it's this thing that I need to look at. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So they do get it. And yeah, absolutely. You've got one set of training overshadowing another set. So one lot of learning is blocking what you want them to learn as an alternative. But,
I need a better bowl as well, and more, because we've got an old Chinese takeaway container which isn't visual enough, I think.
Yeah, and Chirag's buckets come in all sorts of colours.
Where'd you get them from?
You buy them, if you look up Chirag Patel bucket and in the shopping, it will come up. A little bit of a Google search.
Right.
Yeah. All right, so mute you, Maria. Did I already speak to Maria? I think I did. I did. All right, and it was Judith because we, hi darling, are we able to hear you now this time.
Yeah. Every time I mute or unmute, you lose me. So I'll just keep very quiet.
Okay. Yeah.
But Tilly was exactly the same as Poppy and Sid. You know, first of all, because I got the stool out, she thought I wanted her to put the paws on the stool. So that's why I changed to the chair, which she's now trying to eat. But yeah, she wasn't sure what I was asking of her. So yeah, a little bit more practice, I think.
Yeah. Good. And it's Leanne that I haven't. Oh, I'm sorry, I've tried to mute you. Just ignore that. Leanne, tell us the story.
Remy can do it fine. It's just she's frustrated today. She's just yowling at everything. So she can do it. It's just she's not happy waiting. I don't know why. She's just in a mood.
Okay.
If you can hear her now.
Yeah. So anything gone on recently that, you know, might be causing her to feel a bit funny today?
She was with Aspen yesterday. Dean and I went to Home Sense. So she was with Aspen, but I think that might be it. Yeah, he's a bit of a handful.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, we know, don't we, that if you've had an exciting day, it can take a couple of days for you to settle back down to normal. So if she's been playing all day, it could be all sorts going on. She might be tired. She might have joint stiffnesses. She might have muscle stiffnesses. You know, she might just need a day off, really. But yeah, they're all good observations. Yeah. All right. Thank you for muting.
Julie,
Yeah.
I'm glad Leanne's just said what she said, because we took Tilly to the beach on Friday and she just ran like a whirlwind and jumped in the sea, which she's never done before. And it takes her a couple of days to get over that amount of exertion. And I was starting to worry that there was something wrong. But is that quite normal then, that, you know, they're basically knackered?
Yeah. So they're the same as us. I mean, they've got the same biology as us, you know, and if you suddenly take yourself off and you're not a sporty person like some people, Andrea, and you take yourself off and do some sports for a day that you don't normally do, you know, it can take you a good 2 or 3 days for the muscle pain and the aches and the tiredness to settle down. So dogs are the same. You know, if you're doing the same thing regularly every day, then you're not going to have that same effect. But yeah.
Thank you.
All right, Andrea, I do like the fact that you celebrate how sporty you are.
Can it be hormonal as well with the girls?
Yeah, if
Because-
they're due in season. I don't know about you, but I always suffered from joint pains and aches coming up into season. So yeah.
Because Sid has like Tilly, and she has, and Leanne, Remy, she has times when she's a really lazy dog, full stop. That's her low energy. But there's times when she's more active than others, and she still takes longer the next day to bounce back, really. She wants a quiet day the next day. So do I.
And I think there's a lot to be said, because it used to be in popular culture that you had to tire your dog out, that you had to exercise them, that you had to throw a ball for them 500 times a day or something, or take them for 2-hour walks every day. And, you know, it's been proven to be a fallacy entirely, you know, any more than, yes, if you're a sporty person and your intention is to develop your sports strength and your ability to do that, then by all means build it up slowly to practice it as a human. Or for a dog, if you've got a sports dog and you want them to be able to do that on request whenever you ask for it. But, you know, normal dogs don't need that much exercise. What they do need is a lot of mental stimulation. They do need a lot of sniffing, a lot of things to keep their brain active and busy. you know, and that they don't need that relaxation time, that sort of body physical healing time in the same way as they do with the physical exercise. So, and they don't get the side effects, the pain and things. So it's about balance, I think, is the thing. You know, it's about keeping them fit, but also keeping them mentally fit. Yeah. All right, back to the bowl game for a bit. I'm going to see whether or not I can build duration. If I manage to build duration, then I'll start to add in some little distractions. If Dodo is completely rubbish at it, I'll bring obviously the expert so she can show you the next stages. But we'll see how far I get with Dodo. You can either watch me or you can have a go again yourself, whichever you prefer. So I'm going to load it and invite my Dodo to join me. Hello, Do. Hello, Do.
Your eyes, Tilly.
All right, darling. Good boy. I was playing with the computer. I know I messed up the training session. It's all right, me saying being the training bubble, isn't it? Right. I'm going to swap for a Twiggy because Dodo's not coping. He says, "Don't want to leave. Don't make me leave." Okay. Out. Ready, girly? Yeah. Okay, so she's quite good at looking back to it. So we're going to start to try and build duration. Now, so if my hand moves, she's going to think it's going to the bowl. So that's why it's really important to bring that treat to the bowl and reward near the bowl. Because I want to start doing hand movements, I wanted to be able to tell when that hand is moving to the bowl or when it's just moving. Okay, so that's that discrimination here. So if you just look at that, so I'm going to looking at me rather than looking at the bowl. Look at that. Look at that. So we're going to go back a stage. So I'm going to take a break, take it out of view for a second, out of play, pop it back, click as soon as she looks at it. Dodo's not helping. Okay, and she's more worried about the fact that Dodo's crying outside, which is why she keeps looking around and looking back and getting a little bit stressy about it. She's also a little bit mixed up because she can hear Judith, I think's clicker, and that's freaking her out a little bit. So you can do a slight adjustment on it if you've got a dog. We could do something like, come here, look at those. If you've got a dog who's got a really nice weight, and we'll focus on food, weight, and she says, I'd rather look at you. So that's not going to help me on this occasion. So I would do a lot more work with her. I didn't realise we hadn't practiced for a long time. I would do a lot more work with her, reassuring her that it is about looking at that bowl before I'd start adding distractions. Okay. But remember, with your handling, we can also do other training as well, where we're saying it's the stillness that makes me reward you. So instead of being specific about you must look at the bowl, because the bucket game is about giving them a position to maintain and helping it be easy for them to understand to maintain that position. But you could do it the same as we were doing before, where you were saying, if you stand still while I do something in relation to your body, yeah, if you stand still while my hand moves, I will click. So just clicking for stillness, even if it makes you feel freaky when there's a hand moving near you. And she says, that was a bit much. The aim is always to get the dog to make the choice. Is that thing okay? And if it's okay for them, then we're going to slowly increase what we're asking of them. And if they can maintain that stillness. But the bucket game, I love when she can get them to understand, stay and carry on looking at that, because that keeps the body position. And it also gives the dog a very, very clear way of saying, that's too hard, that's too difficult. So they can look away from the bowl to tell you that thing that you're trying to do is too much, it's too hard. So really getting them to understand the idea of stillness is much easier, I think, if there's a clear target for them to be still at or in. You could also do it with things like the nose touch on the hand, which you've seen works really well with Twiggy. But you could transfer that to a specific target that you stick on a surface. So, for example, a coaster that you blue tack onto the surface when you're going to be doing the training, and they keep their nose in contact with the target to tell you that you're okay to carry on doing whatever stage of handling you're at, slowly building up what you do. So with her, I don't think I ever did that onto a specific target, and I might do it. But it's very similar to when we were teaching them to push the door. We're nose targeting. We're going to teach them a duration target, first of all. So it's always about building that duration of stillness or that duration of nose target or that duration of looking at the bucket, and then increase the amount of things, the distractions that you're going to do with them. And they use their ability to move away from that target or look away from the bowl or to not offer stillness as a way of saying, it's too hard, I can't do it. So it's what they call cooperative care. Is there any questions about that? Does that not make sense to anybody? Oh, it's a big wave, huge wave.
Nobody was looking, but Missy did it. I was going like this in front of her and she stayed looking at the ball.
Beautiful. Is there any chance at all of you doing it again so we can watch?
I'll try. She's got all excited now because I made a fuss of her and now she's crazy.
Come out from under the table. Come out.
Can you sit down? Sit down, please. Sit down, please. Sit. Let's look at Marianne.
I've got bits of wood. Got bits. She's not going to do it now. Come on. Come on.
No.
No, she's not going to do it now. I was going like that next to her and she was doing it, but we stopped and she got all excited. So she'll keep practicing that, but she did do it.
Hey, and look at Sid just now. She says, I am so looking at the bowl. While we were just busy looking away, she was doing a perfect sit there and watch it. Okay, so with the hand touch, the trouble is obviously, the trouble is that you're stuck with only one hand left to do handling with, aren't you? So with the hand touch, come here, leave those alone, good girl. I can get that sustained hand touch with duration like this. You step back a bit because they can't see you. Good girl. All right. And then obviously adding distractions and slowly building up. Come here. Stay on camera. Good girl. Slowly building up until, and again, I'm going to have to get rid of my clicker now because I've run out of hands. But now she chooses to maintain that nose target. One thing when you're doing a nose target with duration, leave the nostrils open so they can breathe. Yeah, and slowly increase what you do. If at any point she takes her nose away from that target, then that's her way of saying that's too hard, that's too difficult. And for a dog who was really sensitive about having her ears touched or looked at, you know, I can probably get in there and dig around. Yes, good girl. So that's pretty impressive, I think. But downside, one hand's tied up. So if we can get a duration target on a different object and make it an obvious object, not just pick something random, have the same thing every time. So a particular coaster that is always going to do that same job. So up to you. We can start looking at nose target again if you want to. And it's the same game. First start with them if they look towards the target, then if they touch the target, then duration of keeping that touch on target. And it's not easy to begin with. And it is, I always think the very first point of training any new behavior, the hardest bit for us is recognizing how hard it is for the dog and rewarding and reinforcing frequently enough at those really early stages for the dog to be really confident that they're getting it right. If we're waiting on them too long and trying to push it forward too quickly, we mix them up, and they don't feel safe, they don't feel secure in that information. So if you have a coaster, you can. If not, carry on with your bowl game. Same idea. Yeah, I'm going to try and find my blue tack because I know I've got some somewhere. I'm going to glue it to the door so that you can see. You can use sticky tape if you've got somewhere that you don't mind having sticky tape. I might use sellotape. I need to repaint anyway, and sellotape's just fallen into my hand. Can't find the end. What is it with sellotape ends? Why do they always disappear when you need them? So if you've been training your door push, probably don't choose the same door that you've been. I've kind of got no choice because it's the only space in here that you'll be able to see that she's actually targeting. Now remember, again, I was saying I've taught this as a hand target for cooperative care. What I haven't done is teach it as a touch target so that I can separate my hands out. So she might be a little bit slow with this. So I'm going to touch it, bring her attention to it, click for looking at it or approaching it or touching it. We're going to increase duration.
Yes.
One of the ways to increase duration is to expect 2 touches before you click. Yes. What the dog will start to do is touch twice quicker. And that means they're staying near the target for longer.
Touch. Touch. No, not before. No. Touch. Touch. Touch.
Okay, so I got some really nice duration on that. So I was impressed with how quickly she learned that. So what I did was touch for click will increase the chances of them still staying near that target. So she had to touch it twice to get a click, and then I did 3 times to get a click, and then she said, oh, well, I might as well keep my nose near this, which means then I can start to build duration. If you've got, yes, Sid, well done. If you've got a dog who's desperately trying to get to your hands, then remember, go back a stage and click for any interest or attention on that target.
All right.
Judith, she's very singy. If they're really reluctant, rather than going back to it and pointing it out, take your target off the door, so unfasten it, and let's go back a stage even further. So if your dog's really reluctant, you keep having to touch it and draw their attention to it. Make it if you've got this dog who's really focused on hand target, get that target in your hand and start it in your hand. and then slowly move it and fasten it to the door.
Yes.
Yeah? Yes. All right, because then you can start to fade that hand away once it's fastened to the door.
Yes.
So that's another way of trying to get rid of that sort of addiction to having contact with the hand. All right, there's a way. Go on then, darling.
I've always struggled with this with Missy. All she does is lick.
Okay.
Whatever, either the beer mat or my hand, and I've really struggled to get her out of it. I go right back to the beginning and try and do a little touch, but it always just starts to lick, and it sort of like spoils it all.
Yes.
Okay. So, ways of getting rid of lick. Use something that's not particularly pleasant to lick.
Touch.
Okay, so one of the targets, I don't know if I've got one, I usually have one laying around. If you take a copper coin, they don't taste very nice, so like a 2p coin, yeah, and use that as your target because it's very small and it doesn't taste good. They tend not to lick at it, but the method is slightly different. Oh, I'm looking at it. It's right next to me. Okay. So what you need with this is you need really rapid rewards without the clicker. So, reload my rewards. So with this game, ooh, can I get a view that you can see? Probably. Okay, move that way. So with this game, I'm going to have treats in my hand. And as soon as that 2p goes down on the floor, I'm going to start rewarding with food on the 2p. So 2p goes down, food goes down. While she's still near it, food goes back on the 2p. As soon as her nose goes near it, food on the 2p.
Yes.
So she's a very pausey person.
Yes.
So I'm looking for nose targeting, not paw targeting. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. And the aim is when you start, instead of placing the treat, now what I'm doing is I'm throwing the treat, but I want that treat to land right next to that coin. I want it to hit the coin and bounce away from the coin. Yeah? So turn around because you can't see with your bum in the way. So here's my coin, it goes down. Then you can slowly build up to increased length of time with the nose near that target. The benefit of it being a coin is it's really hard for them to pick up. It doesn't taste nice to lick at. And she's gone back to offering her favourites, which are offering paws or laying down on your side. Get up, come on, get up, move that way, ready. So I'm not adding a marker word I literally want it to be, as the nose is on the coin, the hand is moving to toss that piece of food. Yeah, so once they're really good and they understand it's about that coin, then that can become a really easy to stick on things type target. That can be a really easy to stick on your door or to do whatever you like with it target. But yeah, who was it? Maybe always went to the licking as well. She was a real pain with it. No, Jill, sorry, darling.
Just, oh, it hasn't worked. Well, there. Just to let you know, Poppy's fast asleep, so I'm just going to watch. I did try and send a message, but obviously I haven't done it right. So I'm watching because she's fast asleep on Jim's knee.
You did.
Did
oh,
it
no.
come up?
Oh no.
No.
So did you click on the chat box?
Yes, and I pressed in. Yeah. Poppy's gone to sleep, but I don't know how to send it.
Oh, you just press return.
I did that, didn't seem to work, but never mind. Anyway, you know, so that's why I'm just sitting here, because she's absolutely sound asleep.
Okay, no worries.
She had a hard day yesterday.
So what does she think, Maria, of that as a target instead?
No, she's not. She's not touching it. She's looking at it, and I put a bit of food on it, and she looks at the bit of food, and then she gets the food, and she looks back at me, and she's not touching the coin.
That's fine. So looking at it's a good start. Remember that we're not going to get anywhere near where we want to be without adding other steps to the point at which the dog can understand. So if just looking at it makes you toss a piece of food towards that coin, then that's where we start. Yeah? It's us, it's our observational skills and it's our speed of reinforcement that's going to help them to really understand. But yeah, I mean, you can go through all sorts of different stages. And yeah, I have to admit, I don't like dogs who lick when they're doing touch. So another way of trying to do that, to get rid of the licking with the hand touch, is to click as they're about to touch rather than when they actually make contact.
Yeah, you did. You have told me that once before, and I've tried and tried and tried, but as she gets closer, it's like,
yeah,
absolutely. So if I do it over there, she's fine, but as she gets closer, it's like, because she's a very licky dog. I mean, she does kisses, and she's ever so friendly and kissy, and
some dogs are
that's why we can do things with her mouth, because she likes it, and then she like reciprocates by going, oh, that was nice. But, yeah.
Who's got a really good hand target with a sustained hand target? Anybody? Yeah, go on then. So we've got Sid and Andrea. I'm going to set you a little challenge to do on video in a second. If you just watch me with Twig. Yeah? So no food in the hand. This is your challenge for Sid. No food in the hand. Turn around. Get them onto the sustained hand touch. The other hand comes over, and again she says no. The other hand comes over, lifts the lips. Yes, there we go. What's in it for me? Let's make sure she understands that there is something in it for her. So we've gone back to get the reward. Let's see if she's more comfortable now.
Oh, beautiful. That's really lovely. Good girl.
No, it's on there.
Well done.
She says you can do ears. So can you see that in this action, I'm blocking her vision, aren't I? Ready?
Steady.
There's no wonder it's hard for her. Yes. So I'm going to do less.
Yes.
Yes. Good girl. All right. So Carol, hang on. Let me get you on full view so we can all see you.
Yes.
Okay, so try and get your yes in while the nose is still on your hand. And reduce what you're doing with your other hand. So like Twiggy was pulling away, if they're pulling away, it's saying to us that's too hard. So get your sustained touch, then do a little move with the other hand and mark while the nose is still in touch with the target hand. Good. She's got a nice strong target, hasn't she? Nice strong sustained target. We like that. You can see her properly shoving her nose into it. Beautiful, you win. Very nice. Very, very good. Okay, so we're talking about Sarah Fisher saying that using food can cause them to be unsure of that interaction because they want to go towards the food and they're kind of forcing themselves to go there, and they might be pushing themselves a bit too far. So you might be doing handling that's uncomfortable to them because they're going to put up with it, but they're not actually enjoying it and they haven't got any control over that interaction. What we're trying to do is give them the option of saying no, give them the option of saying, I can't keep my nose in contact while you do that. So you saw Twiggy saying, no, that's too hard. Yeah, I'm going to build her back up, her confidence to be able to allow me to do that. Yeah, and we've seen there's lots of different ways of doing that. So your hand target might be a chin rest target instead of a nose touch target.
Yeah. Missy can do that.
Yeah, well, show us yours then. Show us your chin rest. With
Obviously. Come on. Ready. Chin. Not funny. Chin. 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 No, she's not going to do it now.
That's all right. Yeah, so for her just now,
Do it with the chin, that
chin press several times in a row and then start adding little movements and then start to go to where you want to go. I think it's always beneficial whenever we're doing handling to start where you know that they will be comfortable and then ask them. It's very much a, can we do this?
Yeah.
You know, am I allowed to do this? So with Twiggy with the chin rest, come here, darling. Go that way.
Okay.
Thank you. Your chin. Chin. And what I'm doing with that is I'm actually pushing up, chin, and she's pushing down, yes. And I'm going to reward for a strong push on my hand. So putting your chin on is good, but I want her to push her chin down. Yes. Yes, and when I can feel that she's pushing against me, and that chin target's really strong, that's when I'm going to mark. Yes. So I'm going to make sure she's really strong in that behaviour before I start adding the other, come here, darling, before I start adding the other bits in. So, put your chin on. And then I'm going to start moving. Yes. Oh, yeah. Lost somebody. Oh, we lost somebody. We lost her. Okay. So, and again, at any point, if she feels that that interaction is uncomfortable, she's allowed to just take her chin away, and that's her way. I'm giving her a way of communicating to me that that is not something she wants to have done just now. And it's, I mean, we've got to think of them in the same terms as ourselves. You know, you might be fine with having something done. So somebody playing with your hair, for example, on one occasion, but in a different context or on a different day, you might not be comfortable with that. And imagine if that person continued to do it anyway, even if you said, I'm not in the mood right now. You know, that's going to damage your friendship and your relationship, isn't it? So we want to do the same with our dogs. We want to give the dog the chance to say, not in the mood right now without having to get upset with us. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. What time is it, anyone?
11:10.
Is it already? It does go fast. Is there any questions? I've lost Maria. She disappeared on me. Is there any questions or concerns or before I set you a challenge? Okay, so your challenge for this week, and I will put it into WhatsApp as well, is a video of either a sustained nose touch or a sustained chin target or a sustained target. So either a coin on the floor with them maintaining their look at that coin and holding their nose on the coin, or a target stuck to the door. But I want to see your dog holding still and it being very obvious that they know that job. And for additional points, you being able to do something to your dog within their comfort zone while they maintain that position. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, now you can go back to doing teeth if you like, but you saw when they're maintaining a target, head handling in front of the ears is quite a hard task. So chin target, I think, is easier because it doesn't block their view as much. They still feel like they've got a bit of control. So for front end in front of the ears, I think chin target is probably better. But if you can do it in another way, then do it. You know, find the way that's comfortable for your dog. Oh, ears. And she just said, no, not that particular contact with my ears right now, Mummy. All right, any questions? Happy to do the challenge? Willing to take that on? All right, so let me know on WhatsApp. Keep them videos coming in because I do love it. All right, see you later. Bye.